I'm Maya. I'm 26 years old. I'm a senior graphic designer, and this is my house. Every brick, every window, every single blade of grass. I earned it. I don't have a trust fund. I don't have a rich husband. I have a life I built entirely, painfully, from scratch. And this was my housewarming party. The first one I'd ever thrown. My friends were here, the music was playing, the sun was setting. It was perfect. For about an hour. That's when my mom, Linda, picked up a wine glass and clinked it with a spoon. A toast! A toast, everyone! The music quieted down. Everyone turned. My mom, she was just beaming. We are so proud of our Maya for getting this beautiful new home. I smiled. I felt a warmth in my chest. Maybe this time it would be different. And then she said it. Which is why she's going to do the right thing and swap houses with her sister, Sarah. The warmth vanished, replaced by ice. I must have heard her wrong. I forced a laugh, a tight, awkward sound. Mom, that is a really weird, dark joke. What are you talking about? Her smile didn't just fade, it vanished. Her face hardened, like it always did when I didn't immediately obey. Don't be selfish, Maya. You know Sarah needs this house. She has 2 kids. Her apartment is bursting. You're just one person. My sister, Sarah, standing right next to her, burst into tears. Right on cue. My dad chimed in. Your mother's right. It's the sensible thing to do. You can always just move back into our basement. My basement. They were offering me my childhood basement in exchange for the 4-bedroom house I had just poured my life savings into. I felt this. Cold, sharp, terrifying calm. I set my glass down on the patio table. I walked over to the stereo. I pressed the off button. The music cut. The only sound was Sarah's fake sobbing. I turned to my family. The party's over. What happened next? It didn't just end the party. It ended my family. Has a family member ever demanded you give up something you worked your entire life for? Just hand it over? Because they need it more? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe, because you won't believe how this ends. To understand why I snapped, why I would throw my own family out of my house, you have to understand that this wasn't one toast. It was my entire life. In my family there were 2 roles, and they were assigned early. My older sister, Sarah, was the golden child, and I, Maya, was the scapegoat, the workhorse. It sounds dramatic, but it was just fact. I have this one memory. It's so sharp, I can still smell the grease. I'm 16 years old. I'm wearing a polyester polo shirt that stinks of French fries and pickles. I'm working 20 hours a week at a local diner, saving every single dollar, scraping together a down payment for a 15-year-old Honda Civic that rattled when it went over 50. I was so proud of that car. That same summer, Sarah turned 20. She had tried college for about a month, decided it wasn't her vibe, and dropped out. To help her find herself, my parents bought her a brand new, cherry red convertible. I remember standing in the driveway, my hands raw from scrubbing pots, watching her drive off, the top down, not a care in the world. I asked my mom, "Why? I'm working so hard," and she just gets one? My mom put her hand on my arm, her face full of that fake, pitying sympathy. "Oh, honey," she said. This was their go-to line. The one that always made my stomach clench. "We have to help Sarah. She's just not as tough as you are, Maya." It wasn't a compliment. It was an excuse. It was the justification for ignoring me. It meant my struggles were my own problem, and her whims were theirs. That pattern never, ever changed. I went to college. I knew they wouldn't help, so I didn't ask. I took on $60,000 in student loans. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. My life was a blur of textbooks, espresso shots, and instant noodles. I was the campus library's closing shift, then the coffee shop's opening shift. I survived on free refills and sheer, grinding willpower. I graduated with honors, and a mountain of debt that felt like I was suffocating. I got my first real job in graphic design. It was a junior position, the pay was terrible, but it was a start. I remember the day I signed the lease on my first apartment. It was a tiny studio. The kitchen was just a wall. My mattress was on the floor, but it was mine. I was so happy I was vibrating. I called my parents, ecstatic, "Mom, Dad, I got my own place. I'm paying my own bills." There was a pause. "Oh, that's nice, dear," my mom said. Her voice was distracted. "Listen, speaking of, we have amazing news. Sarah's engaged. Her fiancé is wonderful. We're helping them with the wedding, of course. We've already put the deposit down on the country club." I just stared at the wall of my tiny, empty apartment. I felt invisible. My achievement got an "oh, that's nice." Her engagement got a country club. I hung up the phone, and for the first time, I didn't feel proud. I just felt alone. Sarah's life wasn't just easier than mine. It was a different reality. It was a life of soft landings, all funded and cushioned by my parents. Her wedding. Oh, her wedding. It was this massive, lavish affair at the country club they'd booked. Hundreds of guests, flowers dripping from every surface, a 10-piece band. I, of course, was a bridesmaid. My parents graciously told me I only had to pay for the dress, which cost $400. That was my entire food budget for the month. I remember smiling in photos, my stomach aching with hunger because I couldn't afford to eat properly in the weeks leading up to it. But Sarah looked beautiful. That's what everyone said. After the wedding, she and her new husband needed a place to live, naturally. And that's when the infamous 2-bedroom apartment came into play. They found a nice condo. But, oh no, they couldn't possibly afford the down payment and the wedding. So, my parents gifted it to them. A $30,000 gift. They also co-signed the loan because my sister, at 24, had never held a job for more than 6 months and had zero credit. This apartment, by the way, is the exact one they now wanted to swap for my house, the one they didn't even pay for. Then, the kids arrived. And with the kids came the golden uterus card. This was Sarah's ultimate trump. Suddenly, she couldn't possibly be expected to work. Being a mother was just too demanding. Her husband had a decent job, but it wasn't enough to fund the lifestyle she felt she deserved. So, my parents stepped in. Again. They started paying her car note, just paying it. Then it was helping with her groceries, helping with the kids' daycare. All while I was on the other side of town, literally eating rice and beans 5 nights a week, trying to figure out how I was going to pay my $600 student loan bill and my electric bill in the same month. I was drowning. But I was the tough one, remember? Tough ones don't get life rafts. The dynamic was never clearer than at Christmas. Last year, I was desperate. The tires on my old Honda, the one I'd bought at 16, were bald. It was dangerous. I was sliding in the rain. So, I did something I never do. I asked for help. "Mom, Dad, for Christmas, I don't want anything fancy. I really need new tires. I'm scared I'm going to get in an accident." Christmas morning, I open my envelope. It's a $50 gift card to a department store. My mom smiled. "Go buy yourself a nice sweater, honey." I had to fight back tears. An hour later, Sarah opens her envelope. Inside are 2 plane tickets. All-inclusive, week-long trip to Mexico. My jaw just dropped. My mom rushed to explain. "Your sister is just so stressed, Maya. She has 2 kids. She needs a break." I looked at Sarah, who was already Googling the resort on her phone. Then I looked at my $50 gift card. And that's the whole story. You have to understand, I never wanted their money. I never wanted a handout. I never wanted a trip to Mexico. I just wanted my life, the one I was bleeding for, to be seen. I wanted my struggle to be acknowledged as equal to her wants. But it never was. And it never would be. That Christmas, that $50 gift card. That was the day something in me snapped. I realized I was completely, totally on my own. And if I wanted that safety, that proof I existed, I would have to build it myself. So I did. The house wasn't an impulse buy. It wasn't a lucky break. It was a 3-year war, fought in silence. I declared a personal state of austerity. I opened a high-yield savings account and I named it My Fortress. Every single dollar I made that wasn't for basic survival went into that account. I took on freelance design projects after my 9 to 5. I worked weekends. I worked holidays. My social life evaporated. My friends would call, Maya, we're all going to the beach for the weekend. I can't. I've got to work. Maya, we're going out for drinks. I've got to work. I said no so many times they eventually stopped asking. It was a brutal, lonely grind. I wore my shoes until the soles literally split. I patched them with duct tape. I became a master of grocery budgeting. I could make $30 last a week. I calculated every single purchase to the penny. I didn't just save that down payment. I bled for it. And then, one Tuesday afternoon in March, I got the call. My offer, my long-shot offer, on a 4-bedroom, foreclosed house with a huge, overgrown yard, was accepted. I sat in my rattling Honda outside the realtor's office for almost half an hour, just staring at the steering wheel. And then I just broke. I put my head down and I cried. I'm not talking about a few tears. I'm talking about ugly, gasping snot and tears sobbing. I cried for the 6-year-old me smelling like French fries. I cried for the 0-year-old me eating instant noodles. I cried for the 5-year-old me with duct tape on her shoes. Because this wasn't just a house, it was safety. It was a foundation. It was proof that I was real, that my hard work mattered. It was a place in this world that was mine, and no one could ever take it from me. When I finally pulled myself together, the first people I called were my family. I was still riding that wave of pure joy. I thought this would be the thing. This achievement was so big, so undeniable, they'd have to be proud. I called Mom. Mom, I did it. I bought a house. A long pause. Then, her voice, tight with something, not joy. Oh, Maya. A house? Are you sure you can handle a mortgage that big? That's a lot of responsibility for one person. No congratulations. No, I'm so proud of you. Just doubt. Then I told Sarah. Her reaction was even worse. She let out this sharp, bitter laugh. Wow. A house. Must be nice to just throw money at a house like that. Throw money at it. Like I was her. I was too happy to let them ruin it. Not this time. I decided to throw a housewarming party. I wanted, just for once, to celebrate my win. To stand in my yard, with my friends, and be happy. I was so naive. The party was set for a Saturday, 2 weeks after I finally got the keys. I was so excited. I was painting. I was unpacking. I was in my own little world. And then, almost immediately, the helpful invasions began. It started with a phone call from my mom. Maya, hi, sweetie, she said, in that sugary sweet voice that always means she's about to criticize me. I was just thinking about your little party. I hope you're not wasting a bunch of money on expensive fancy catering. You know, people are perfectly happy with a simple veggie tray and some dip. I can bring my famous ranch. I had just put the non-refundable deposit down on a local taco truck. I was so excited about it. It was fun. It was different. It was me. Thanks, Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice light. I've actually got the food all covered. It's all set. A pause. Well, I'm just saying, Maya. You have a big new mortgage. You need to be saving your pennies. Don't be frivolous. Frivolous. Buying my own food for my own party was frivolous. Right. Next, Sarah called. No congratulations. No, how's the new house? No, can I help you unpack? Just demands. Hey, she started, like she was bored. Just so you know, the kids are really picky. They won't eat tacos. Can you make sure you have like plain hot dogs? And white bread, not that weird wheat stuff. And they only drink that specific brand of apple juice in the little boxes. None of that healthy, all-natural juice. They'll just spit it out. I was literally standing there, covered in paint, holding my phone, writing this down on a moving box. Plain hot dogs, white bread, for my housewarming party. Okay, Sarah, I sighed. I'll see what I can do. Then, the weekend before the party, my dad came over to inspect the place. That's what he called it. Just want to see what you got yourself into, kiddo. He walked around my house with his hands clasped behind his back, frowning. He wasn't seeing a home. He was seeing a list of flaws. He went out onto my new deck. This deckboard looks a little warped, Maya. You're going to want to replace that. He went into the guest room I'd just painted. The paint in this closet is sloppy. Looks like they missed a spot right here. He finished in the basement. Are you sure your inspector did a good job? Seems to me like this whole place could be a real money pit. He said it with this little smirk, like he was almost hoping it would be. But the gift was the final straw. The day before the party, my mom showed up, unannounced. She was carrying a big, damp-smelling cardboard box. "Here you go, dear," she said, beaming, like she was Santa Claus. "Just to help you get started." I opened it. Inside, it was a pile of their old towels. I'm not talking about nice spare guest towels. I'm talking about thin, stained, mismatched, pilled towels. Some of them had holes. I could see a faded Beach Club 98 logo on one of them. They smelled like their basement. I was standing in my brand new hallway, right next to my linen closet. A closet where I had just an hour before stacked the new, fluffy, matching charcoal gray towels I had saved up for months to buy. And she was handing me her rags. "Thanks, Mom," I said. My voice was paper thin. "That's so thoughtful." I closed the door, put the box of rags on my new floor, and just leaned against the wall. It wasn't one big thing. It was 1,000 tiny cuts. They weren't celebrating with me. They were managing me. They were minimizing my achievement. Every single helpful comment, every inspection, every gift. It was all designed to do one thing. To remind me that even in my own castle, even in the house I bought, I was still the lesser child. I was still the one who didn't know what she was doing. I was still the one who deserved their old, stained towels. The morning of the party, I was a wreck. A good wreck, though. I was buzzing. I'm running around in my pajamas, trying to place flowers, checking the ice in the coolers, fiddling with the playlist. I was just happy. Nervous, but happy. The first doorbell ring was at 2 o'clock. It was my best friend, Chloe. My found family. The person who had listened to me cry about my student loans and celebrated with me when I paid off my car. She walked into the entryway, and her hands flew to her mouth. She didn't see the warped deck board or the sloppy paint. She just saw it. She saw me. "Maya," she whispered. "Oh my God, you did this." She turned to me, her eyes shining. It's perfect. It's so perfect." She grabbed me and hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. And her joy, it was 100% pure. It wasn't jealous. It wasn't critical. It was just joyful. For me, that's all I had ever wanted. Her reaction almost made me cry, right there in the hallway. An hour later, my other family arrived. The shift in the air was immediate. It was like a cold front moved in. Chloe felt it too. I saw her smile tighten just a little. Sarah walked in first, dragging her 2 kids by the hands. She didn't say hi. She didn't say congratulations. She didn't say, "It's beautiful." She just looked past me, through my new living room, out the glass doors to the backyard where my friends were already mingling. And her first words were, "Wow, this yard is so much bigger than ours. Look, kids, imagine how much space you'd have to run around." I just froze. Imagine? What a strange way to phrase that. I looked at Chloe. Chloe just raised one perfect eyebrow. I plastered on my party smile. "Come on in, guys. The taco truck is out back." My mom swept past me like she owned the place and immediately went into, I don't know, inspection mode too. "You put the food outside, Maya?" she said, loud enough for 3 of my friends to hear. "What about the flies? The bugs? This music is a little loud, don't you think? It's hard to talk." She then walked into my new kitchen, looked at the counters I had just organized, and started rearranging them. I'm not kidding. She picked up my brand new coffee maker. "It just looks better over here, dear," she said, moving it to the other side of the counter. I felt my jaw clench. I had to physically unclench it. "Not today, Linda," I thought. "You are not ruining today." I tried to ignore them. I tried to just talk to my friends, but I kept getting pulled away. "My dad," he cornered me by the drink cooler. He put his big hand on my shoulder, and he had that concerned father look on his face. The one that always came before he told me I'd failed at something. So, Maya, he said, his voice low. Your mother and I were talking. Oh God, I thought. Here it comes. Well, we're a bit concerned. Concerned? About what, Dad? The party's great. No, he said, patting my shoulder. This is all just a bit much for you, isn't it? A big mortgage, a big yard to take care of. It's a lot, for one person. He leaned in, like he was telling me a secret. I just want you to remember, you always have your old room in our basement, if this, doesn't work out. He was offering me the basement. Again. At my own housewarming party. He wanted it to not work out. I pulled away from him. I'm fine, Dad, thanks. The rest of the hour was a blur. My smile wasn't a smile. It was a mask. It was stretched so tight my face actually hurt. I felt like an actress in my own home. Every time one of my real friends came up to me and said, Maya, this place is incredible, Sarah would let out a loud, theatrical, passive-aggressive sigh. Must be nice, she'd mutter. Must be nice not to have to worry about where your kids are going to play. Or my mom would swoop in to correct them. Oh, it's a fixer-upper, she's got so much work to do. We're quite worried about her. I was standing in the middle of my beautiful yard, surrounded by people, and I had never felt more stressed or more on edge. The air was thick. The pressure was building. I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I finally managed to escape them. I was standing near the taco truck with Chloe and a few of my work friends. I was laughing, really laughing. My friend was telling a hilarious story. The taco in my hand was amazing, and for a solid 2 minutes, I forgot. I forgot about the pressure, the criticism, the basement. I was just happy. And then, clink, clink, clink. That high-pitched, insistent tapping of a spoon on a wine glass. My mom. She was standing in the very center of the patio, grinning from ear to ear. A toast, everyone. The music was still playing softly, but all the conversation just died. Every guest, my guests, turned to look at her. My stomach dropped. I felt a cold dread creep up my spine. This wasn't a congratulations toast. This was something else. To my daughter Maya, she said, her voice booming. We are all so incredibly proud of her for getting this big, beautiful house. She paused. My breath caught in my throat. For the family. What? You see, she continued, her smile getting wider. My other daughter, Sarah, her little apartment is just so cramped. It's not fair to my grandbabies. And Maya. Well, Maya is just all alone in this huge, 4-bedroom place. My friends were looking at me. Their smiles were frozen. They were confused. So, my mom announced, raising her glass high. We've all decided that the only fair and loving thing to do is for Maya and Sarah to swap houses. Silence. Not just quiet. It was a vacuum. The music, the breeze, everything just stopped. I could feel a high-pitched ringing in my ears. Did she say, swap? Swap my house. Too? For Sarah's apartment? The one they paid for? My eyes darted to Sarah. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't rushing to say, Mom, stop, you're crazy. She was standing right next to her, looking at me, with expectation. This was a plan. This was an ambush. They had discussed this. They had agreed. They were doing this here, in front of all my friends, to publicly shame me into it. I couldn't feel my legs. I finally found my voice. It was just a whisper. Mom, no. My mother's face twisted. The beaming, proud mask dissolved into something cold and ugly. What did you say? What do you mean, no? I tried again. Louder. No. Don't be so selfish, Maya, she spat. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the silence. Sarah needs it more than you do. She has a family. This is what family does. We sacrifice for each other. My dad, right on cue, stepped up. She's right, Maya. It's just a house. You could just move into our basement. We'd even let you fix it up. The basement. Again. And then, Sarah. She put her hands to her face and burst into the loudest, most theatrical sobs I have ever heard. I just want what's best for my babies, she wailed, tears streaming down her face. Why are you so hateful to me? Hateful. That word. It was a gunshot. Everything stopped. The ringing in my ears became a roar. A hot, white surge of anger, so pure and so total, it just erased everything. The patio, my friends' faces, the smell of the food, the humiliation, all gone, replaced by a cold, deadly calm. My jaw tightened so hard I felt a pop in my ear. My hands weren't even shaking. I set my paper plate down on the table. I set my drink down next to it. I walked past my mother. I walked past my sobbing sister. I walked to the small table where the Bluetooth speaker was playing, and I hit the power button. The music cut. The only sound in the entire screamingly silent yard was Sarah's fake crying. It stopped, abruptly. I turned around. I looked at my mother, my father, my sister. My voice, I didn't even recognize it. It was ice. Get out. My mom scoffed. What did you just say to me? I said. I enunciated every single word. Get out, all of you. Mom, Dad, Sarah, get out of my house, now. The color drained from their faces. They looked stunned. My father sputtered. You can't be serious. We're your family. You're humiliating us, my mother shrieked. Ungrateful, Sarah yelled, her tears miraculously gone, replaced by pure spite. You ungrateful bitch! Now! I roared. The word came from my gut, from 20 years of being the workhorse. They all flinched. And then, I felt a hand on the small of my back, a small, warm pressure. It was Chloe. She stepped up, right beside me, so we were a solid wall. She looked at my parents, and her voice was just as cold as mine. You heard her. Leave. The three of them just stared. They looked from me, to Chloe, back to me. They saw the looks on my friends' faces, the disgust, the shock. They finally realized. I wasn't backing down. The game was over. My mother's face contorted with rage. You will regret this, Maya. You will regret this for the rest of your life. Get out, I repeated. They grabbed their purses, grabbed the kids' hands. They stormed through my living room and slammed my new front door so hard a picture fell off the wall. The silence they left behind was deafening. It was heavier than the music had ever been. I just stood there, staring at my front door. Then my knees started to buckle. I looked at Chloe. I looked at my real friends. And the mask I'd been wearing all day, all my life, it finally just crumbled. I think the party's over. The slam of that door echoed through the house. For a second, I just stood there, my entire body vibrating. I felt like I was going to be sick. Then, Chloe's arms were around me. She was just holding me up. My knees were shaking so hard I think I would have fallen. I've got you, she whispered. Just breathe. My other friends, they didn't leave. They didn't stand there awkwardly. They just moved. One of them, my friend Mark from work, started quietly stacking the paper plates and throwing them in a trash bag. Another, Sarah, started collecting all the half-full glasses. They didn't make a big deal of it. They just cleaned. They took care of the mess. Chloe got me a glass of water. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold it. Maya, Mark said, pausing his cleanup. That was the most insane thing I have ever witnessed. Are you okay? I just shook my head. I couldn't even speak. We've got your back, Chloe said, her voice like steel. 100%. What they did. That's not family. That's a hostile takeover. Their support. It was like a safety net. Not the tangled, strangling net of obligation my mother called family, but a real one. One that would actually catch me. They stayed for another hour, helping me put my house back together. And just as the last friend was walking out the door, my phone, which had been blissfully silent, lit up. Bizzed. It was on the coffee table. I looked at it. A text from Mom. You have humiliated this entire family. I have never been so ashamed in my life. You are an ungrateful, selfish child. Bzet. A text from Dad. You will apologize to your mother and your sister by tomorrow morning, or don't bother speaking to us ever again. Bzet. A text from Sarah. I can't believe you would choose a stupid house over your own nephews. I hope you're happy in that empty box, all alone. It was a barrage, the final, desperate, full-on assault to try and break me. I sat down on my new sofa. In my quiet living room, I read every single poison-tipped word, and I felt it. That old, familiar, cold wave of guilt. The old programming, kicking in. You're selfish. You're hateful. You have to sacrifice. You're alone. My thumb hovered over the reply button. I almost typed, I'm sorry. And then, I stopped. I looked up. I looked at my fireplace. I looked at my bookshelves, the ones I had assembled with my own 2 hands. I looked at my peace, the peace I had bled for, the peace I had earned. This is my fortress, and you don't let the invaders text you after you've thrown them out the gate. A new kind of anger, a clean anger, pushed the guilt aside. I opened my contacts. I found Mom. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat, but I tapped the screen. Block this caller. A jolt of pure panic, followed by relief, a tidal wave of it. I found Dad. I tapped the screen. Block. I found Sarah. Block. A few minutes later, a text came in from a number I didn't recognize. My aunt, Maya. Your mother is hysterical. You need to call her and apologize right now. Block. I built my wall. I locked my digital door. I took a deep breath. The silence that followed was loud for the first few weeks. But it wasn't empty. It was clean. About a month later, I got a message on Facebook from a cousin I'd always liked. She was on my side. Hey Maya, it read. Just so you know, you're not crazy. And you did the right thing. The fallout over here, it's nuclear. She told me that Sarah's husband was furious. Not at me, but at them. My parents, in their infinite arrogance, had promised him they could get me to agree to the swap. They'd been planning it for weeks. He was counting on it. When I refused, he was humiliated. And still stuck in that tiny apartment. To smooth things over, my dad had to lend them even more money. Money he didn't really have. Just to shut them up. They're all still miserable. Still trapped in the same toxic, dysfunctional loop. But now, they don't have me to kick around. They just have themselves. That first Saturday, with my phone completely silent, was the first real weekend of my adult life. No angry calls, no passive-aggressive texts. I woke up with the sun. I made a cup of coffee. I sat on my porch, in my bathrobe, and I just listened. I heard birds. Not demands, not criticism, just birds. The next weekend, Chloe and my friends showed up. They were carrying pizza, beer, and paint rollers. Okay, Chloe announced. This is the real housewarming. No psychos allowed. We blasted music. We laughed. We painted the main wall of my living room a bright, bold teal, a color my mother would have hated. We christened my house with joy, not obligation. It's been 6 months now. I got a promotion at work. I used the extra money to go to the local shelter, and I adopted a 60-pound rescue dog. His name is Bruno, and he absolutely loves the backyard. My house. It's not just a house, it's a home. It's full. The silence from my family isn't empty anymore. It's peaceful. I've had a lot of time to think. I realized I spent my entire life grinding, working, trying to earn their love. But their love was never love. It was just a tool to control me. A weapon to make me feel guilty. So I put down the tool. I bought this house to prove something to them. But in the end, I proved something to myself. That I am my own family. I am my own safety. I am my own home. And my front door? It stays locked. For anyone who thinks they're entitled to what's inside. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever had to build your own fortress and learn how to lock the door, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more to talk about.